Hi guys! Packers preview brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. Tremendous countdown on that side of things. Mike Spofford, Wes Hodkowitz, here to preview the Green Bay Packers and Pittsburgh Steelers. Sunday Night Football, NBC, Week 8 football. Mike, the time is here. Aaron Rodgers.
It is here.
Jordan Love. These two guys obviously are not playing each other. It is the Packers versus the Steelers, but this is the game. Going all the way back to the beginning of the schedule and seeing that these two teams are going to be against each other, it's finally here.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for this one. The whole NFL world, quite frankly, has been waiting for this matchup to get here. Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer, going up against his former team, the Green Bay Packers, and the quarterback whom he mentored, the quarterback who replaced him, Jordan Love. It's been an interesting week around here. I mean, lots of great interviews with Jordan Love and with Aaron Rodgers on a Zoom call and talking and just hearing what all of Rodgers' former teammates. There's a handful of them still in the Packers locker room, obviously. Things that they had to say about their former quarterback, and it's two quarterbacks who shared a quarterback room for 3 years. One was the starter, one was the backup. They have a really good relationship. They still text. They're friends, and now they're taking the field together in primetime in Pittsburgh.
Before Mike and I walked into the studio, we did get the Packers injury report for this one. There are 5 players that are questionable. 2 have been ruled out. Your 2 that have been ruled out are Lucas Van Ness and Dontavian Wicks, neither of whom practiced this week. 3 questionables that I think we were pretty much ready for. Those 3 were Brandon McManus, limited this week, kicked on Thursday, working through the right quad injury. Then you also had Christian Watson, who, by all accounts, I mean, he will be added to the 53. The Packers have to add him back to the 53. His 21-day practice window is closing. That has to happen. But whether or not he plays, we'll wait and see. Devontae Wyatt practiced this week, limited basis, knee injury. See if he's potentially in the cards. We also found out 2 players were added to the injury report on Friday. That was Matthew Golden with the hip and also Warren Brinson with the hamstring. So we'll wait and see how all that unfolds. Obviously, we've had a couple of these the last couple of weeks. Keyshawn Nixon had an illness, was questionable. Nate Hobbs, I believe, last week was a knee added, was questionable.
Right.
But the receiving situation, Mike, that's the one I think all eyes are on because you're not going to have Jaden Reed. You're not going to have Dontavian Wicks.
Right.
Who else is going to be out there for Jordan Love to throw to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll be waiting to see if indeed Christian Watson is one of those options. But even if Christian Watson is, with the amount of time that Watson has been off and been through this long, arduous rehab process with his knee, it's not as though Christian Watson is going to go out there on Sunday night and play 60 snaps, right?
Yep.
So if Watson is activated and available, that would be great. But there's going to be a rep count there. He's not going to be a full-time player just yet. So you certainly hope that whatever this hip thing is with Matthew Golden that cropped up on the injury report, you hope that's not a big deal, that he will be good to go. If Golden is unable to go, then we're going to probably end up seeing a lot more Malik Heath than maybe we have. He's been kind of a part-time player, obviously, throughout the course of the year. His reps definitely ramp up if Matthew Golden's unavailable.
Mike and I will be here for the next 10 to 15 minutes or so answering all of your questions on X, Facebook, and also YouTube. You submit them there. Our wonderful social media staff will submit them here, and I will bounce them off there. Before we get into it, I know there are a couple questions that have already populated, but I want to just quickly mention this. You've kind of hit over and over again this week on what this game means on a lot of different levels. One, we know that Aaron Rodgers is trying to become the 5th quarterback, to beat all 32 teams. The Green Bay Packers are trying to be the first Packers team to go into Pittsburgh and come out with a victory since my dad was 9 years old.
Since 1970. I mean, it's crazy when you look at it. The history of these two franchises, obviously AFC, NFC, it's not like they meet a whole lot. But yeah, the last time the Packers won a game in Pittsburgh, Bart Starr was the quarterback. Terry Bradshaw was a rookie who came off the bench to replace Terry Hanratty, who was the starting quarterback.
Terry Hanratty?
Terry Hanratty was replaced by Terry Bradshaw, who was the rookie.
How did Wally Pipp change after that?
Yeah, well, and because Terry Bradshaw in that game was 3 for 20 with 4 interceptions. He completed more passes to the Packers than to his teammates in that game. That was the last time the Packers won in Pittsburgh, 1970. They have been back 6 times in the regular season since then. They have not gotten a win. All 6 of those games have been with a different starting quarterback. Jordan Love now quarterbacking for this game. He is the first Packers starting quarterback to get a second crack at a victory in Pittsburgh in the last 55 years. Hopefully that bodes well for Green Bay.
All right, we got some questions now, Michael, for you. And
so
actually,
I don't need to keep talking about 1970.
I would love for you to do so, but honestly, these things populated so quickly on me here, we probably already have too many to even get to.
All right.
Okay, let's start off with this. This is from Mac Gruber. Thank you for doing this. Was wondering, what kind of challenge do you see the Packers facing against Aaron Rodgers, who is getting the ball out prolifically fast this season?
He absolutely is, and that is certainly something that has given the Packers trouble defensively, while the Packers have been really up until last week when the Cardinals hit a couple plays over the top. I mean, the Packers defensively have been really good at limiting the explosive plays, taking away those explosive plays from opposing offenses. They've been forcing them to kind of play the dink and dunk game and the quick game. Aaron Rodgers is maybe as proficient at it as anybody. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what Jeff Hafley's counter is going to be to handle that. That being said, Aaron Rodgers is going to take a shot or two with DK Metcalf down the field too.
Stolen on YouTube. Should we expect to see a lot of 12 personnel? The Steelers are a heavy man defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know so much if it's necessarily going to be 12 personnel, but I am guessing that the Packers are going to try to run the ball against this defense. I mean, you look, I know it's only one game. You don't make overarching conclusions off of one game. But that Thursday night game, 2 Thursdays ago, the Bengals against the Steelers, Chase Brown, the Bengals' lead running back, he had not rushed for more than 47 yards in a game all season. Mm-hmm. And he topped 100 against Pittsburgh. The Packers are going to try to run the ball, whatever personnel grouping that they want to use. The Packers are going to try to run the ball because Chase Brown running the ball the way he did against the Steelers defense was a big factor in them not being able to handle Jamar Chase very well.
Yep. So. And Josh Jacobs not on the injury report. He is good to go with the calf.
Great news.
Hopefully that means a full complement in this game, or at least close to it, with Jacobs. I'm going to combine 2 questions here. Are you capable of handling that?
Sure.
Okay. This first one is from Nick. This is on YouTube, Nick Grisick. When do you guys think Jayden Reed will be back? We need him. And then Dennis over on what used to be referred to as Twitter. Can we please get an update on Marshawn Lloyd? Thank you. And I know Lloyd, nothing's really changed there, but the man said thank you and said please.
Yeah.
So I had to do it.
I wish we had some news on Marshawn Lloyd. We've all kind of just been waiting for the update. What we're expecting at some point here is that he's going to return to practice. And then once he's back in practice, we can start asking the questions as far as, okay, how are you doing? Or how long of a ramp up is this going to take? And when's he going to be ready? But he hasn't returned to practice yet. So there really isn't anything to update in that regard. It's just a week-to-week thing. Jayden Reed, it's probably, everything we heard from when he broke the collarbone and then had the subsequent surgery, which ended up turning into a couple of surgeries because of the collarbone and then also his foot. We were hearing anything from, like 8 to 12 weeks and probably more towards the latter, maybe more in like the 10 to 12 week range. So, I don't know. I wasn't really thinking that we're going to be talking much about Jayden Reed until probably after Thanksgiving, and then maybe we'll see where things are at with him.
He, for what it's worth, it's already been a month. It's kind of crazy how quickly that time passes.
Yeah.
This question, it's on YouTube. I think it's Art Connects. Anyway, the question is, outside of the obvious storyline with Rodgers, which we certainly touched on, what are some low-key stories that might not have gotten publicity this week for the game?
Well, I think one of them is sitting on the injury report, and that is that you mentioned Devontae Wyatt for the Packers is questionable. He might be making his return from the knee injury. And the name is escaping me right now, but he's the starting center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is questionable.
Talk more about Devontae Wyatt, and I'll get your name.
The starting center for the Steelers is also questionable on the injury report. He returned to practice, I believe, today on Friday, and so he possibly is going to be able to play. And the fact that you're talking about the center for the Steelers and the Packers' best interior defensive lineman in Wyatt, whether one or both of them are back on the field this week, I think that's a significant sort of, as the listener said, sort of an under-the-radar storyline to this game.
And the smooth transition for Wes Hodgkins back to this is to say Zach Frazier.
Frazier
is the calf. He's a center, calf injury, limited, did not practice Thursday, limited today. Two other players were limited for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's Will Howard and also Malik Harrison. Both of them are on injury reserve, designated to return, need, much like Christian Watson, to be added back to the 53 in order to play in this game. But in Will Howard's case, the quarterback in Pittsburgh is Aaron Rodgers. Probably won't play regardless.
Yeah.
Scotty Miller, the long name that really rings out there.
Our old friend Scotty Miller.
He is out of this game, though, because of a finger injury. So that was all that there was as it relates to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I remembered Frazier's name. I had it. Couldn't think of it.
Time comes after all of us, Mike. So it's like sometimes these things sort of happen. Fortunately, it happened a lot later with you than it seems to be happening with me. A couple more minutes here. He's Mike Spofford, Wes Hodgkins. Packers preview brought to you by Microsoft Copilot, previewing the Packers-Steelers Week 8 Sunday Night Football on NBC. Going to be a fantastic game. Okay, this one is over on the YouTube. Wesley to Weston. This is from Gilly Gang. Oops, got another question, so I lost that one. Okay. Do you guys think that CV will get some more snaps? I feel like he's played very well when his name has been called. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We certainly heard from Jeff Hafley on Thursday that the last thing he is going to do is to lose confidence in Nate Hobbs. I mean, nobody is denying that Nate Hobbs had a rough game in Arizona. It happens, right? But there's also no denying that Nate Hobbs has not been the healthiest player in the Packers secondary, with having the knee procedure during training camp, missing a lot of time there, going through the concussion protocol coming off of the Dallas game, which led into the bye week, but then even the week after the bye week,
I like the bye week.
Yeah. The week after that, when the Packers were back at practice, Hobbs was still in the concussion protocol before then he was cleared to play in the Cincinnati game. So I think the Packers certainly expect better out of Nate Hobbs. I think Nate Hobbs expects better out of himself, and the belief is that he's going to bounce back. That being said, Carrington Valentine is a guy who has proven himself for the Packers, proven himself in this defense. He's also had his share of ups and downs. That's to be expected of a young player and whatnot. But, if when there are issues going on like this, it's not as easy as just like subbing in one guy for the other, right? I expect both of these guys to play on Sunday night in Pittsburgh, and I think the Packers are hoping that both of them raise their games a little bit, quite frankly.
BJ Leone. This one is on YouTube. Wes and Mike, please share your thoughts on how our defense can disrupt the Steelers' passing game and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I mean, the easy answer, so to speak, is the pass rush, right? Because that's kind of what this Green Bay defense has become based on. That being said, as we talked about earlier, with Rodgers playing the quick game, getting the ball out fast all the time, that certainly negates the pass rush. When I look at games like this and a quarterback who's going to get the ball out quickly, and we know with the Steelers, they'll throw the bubble screens and those all those types of quick throws. Tackling becomes at a premium for the Packers defense. If the Steelers are going to take short throws at 4 or 5 yards a crack, then fine. There's going to be plenty of opportunities where you get them in third down and you have a chance to get off the field, right? But if those 4 or 5 yard passes are turning into 8 and 12 and 13-yard gains because of a missed tackle,
right,
or whatnot, then those become just as good as downfield passes. They're not short passes anymore. They're getting close to that explosive play range because of poor tackling. So that's, to me, that's what I want to see is I want to see the Packers tackle well, which I think defensively they have done this year for the most part, with the exception of the game in Dallas.
A couple things. Is it okay if I'm going to talk a little bit too?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
No, I didn't mean to monopolize.
Oh, no. That's not about you. That's about the fact that I've just bounced like 4 questions off to you, not offered any context whatsoever to any of them. I was trying to catch up because we had so many, and then I was filibustering at the beginning, and then the show started, and I didn't know it was starting, and then we're up here just kind of living the dream. But be that as it may, what I wanted to add to that is one of the points that I was making earlier this week during Unscripted, and that is when you look at the way that Pittsburgh is built right now, it's not your traditional Pittsburgh Steelers football team. They have a running game that's respectable. I think Jaylen Warren is a very, very talented running back. I think Kenneth Gainwell has been a nice, really pleasant surprise for them as that number 2 option. But the Packers need to stop them. They need to contain that run game. The Packers have the number 1 ranked run defense in the NFL right now. You need to show that might, because if Aaron Rodgers is allowed to get into those 2nd and 3rd and shorts and mediums, that's where he ultimately really starts going to work.
Yeah.
If you don't get him in 3rd and long, that only allows him to get the ball out even faster. You got to try to the best of your ability is to try to make this Pittsburgh Steelers offense one-dimensional. And for many years, it was the running back that kind of helped set up everything else for Ben Roethlisberger. In this way, it almost kind of feels like the way that Rodgers has been playing, the big plays that DK Metcalf has been playing. He already has an 80-yard touchdown this season.
Right.
It's the explosive plays that are sort of opening the door for the run game. If both of those things are clicking, it's going to be for a really, really long evening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, a couple more questions here. This one is from Gary Zimmer. This is on Facebook. What are your thoughts on the sophomore seasons? I like that he used that. I'm always a big sophomore season guy. You've probably noticed that in my writing. Sophomore seasons of Evan Williams and Javon Bullard. This is a really interesting question because there's so few times that I can think of, because even like Micah Hyde and HaHa Clinton-Dix, they were separated by 1 year. You have 2 guys that play the same position but also have that, in Bullard's case, the ability to play the slot, that came through the same draft class.
Yeah.
So Green Bay, right from the get-go, especially when Bullard was injured early on, had to make some decisions with how they played this thing out. I will go back to what Jeff Hafley said this week. The Packers are not allowing explosive plays. When it comes to passing yards per attempt, Green Bay is number 1 in the league right now in that capacity. But certainly you want more takeaways. Certainly there were some moments in that game against Arizona that they wanted back. But by and large, I mean, this is the 2 young safeties that Green Bay really committed themselves to when they drafted them a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen a big jump forward from Javon Bullard, the 2nd-round pick out of Georgia last year, and I would say the jump, the size of the jump that we've seen from him is for 2 reasons. One is that when he came in as a rookie, they were like, all right, you might be playing deep safety, you might be playing the slot. He's a rookie, not just learning an NFL playbook, but then trying to learn 2 positions on defense. There were weeks last year, and because of the injuries in the secondary, there were weeks last year where Javon Bullard would practice all week in the slot, and then because somebody would go down, then he's going back to play deep safety in the game, and he hadn't even practiced there all week. I mean, that's the kind of season Bullard had last year. And then as the year went on, he also got hurt. He missed a few games with an injury, then came back and was trying to fight through it with the ankle and the foot and all of that stuff. And when the season ended, Javon Bullard needed surgery. I mean, it was a big deal to get him back to full health for year 2. So now we're seeing the knowledge of the playbook, the multiple positions, and a healthy Javon Bullard. We're seeing what he can do. With Evan Williams, what we've seen with Williams in year 2 is we see a guy that, he had the great interception of Jared Goff in week 1, right? With the coverage disguise, Goff didn't know where he was, and then boom, suddenly he was there, he gets the pick. Big play in that game and a big victory for Green Bay. What we've seen since then from Williams is he is like so close to making, he's right there. Whether it was the ball to Pickens down the sideline in Dallas, the deep ball to Zay Jones down the one sideline against Arizona last week. he's so close. He's right there. And Evan Williams is going to be making those plays more often than not. And I think he's had some learning experiences here in year 2, but there's a ton of talent there. You love his attitude. He's a super smart player. And I think Evan Williams is going to be a really good one.
It's we're running out of time here. I know you got salsa lessons tonight, so I don't want to keep you from that. Do you have time for 3 more questions? Because I really like these questions.
I've got all the time you need.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Well, we are paid hourly. This is from our friend, my friend. I think you know Jack, though, too. Jack Taylor. He's been at a lot of the pep rallies in the past. It's on Facebook. For Spav, how does this week compare to 2009 going into Favre's Monday Night Football matchup against Green Bay?
I kind of figured this question was going to be coming, which is why I didn't talk about it initially when you said, hey, this is the Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love game, right? The best way I can put it is that back in 2009, it felt like there was all this intensity leading up to Rodgers against Favre and the Packers and the Vikings. What I've sensed this week is it's not so much intensity, but it's anticipation. It's that everybody, like Aaron Rodgers is excited to play the Packers.
Yes.
Jordan Love is excited to play a game when the quarterback on the other team is Aaron Rodgers. Like there's an anticipation and an excitement for it. And Rodgers, he kind of diffused the whole idea of this being a revenge game, right? I mean, he was asked that question straight out by the Pittsburgh media. He says, I have no animosity towards Green Bay. Would have loved for his final season, 2022 in Green Bay, to go better than it did, but there was the broken thumb and missing the playoffs and all. I mean, it was just things didn't go Green Bay's way there. So, you know, he has those regrets, but he has no animosity toward the organization or anything. It's very different from the whole Favre situation where Favre was traded when he wanted his job back. And then a year later, he orchestrates his way to a division rival specifically to stick it to the Packers. I mean, so that's not what Aaron Rodgers did. Aaron Rodgers is hoping to ride off into the sunset with a great season with the Steelers and playing for Mike Tomlin and playing for another iconic organization in the NFL. The emotions that are around this one. Now, don't get me wrong. When these teams, these quarterbacks, these coaches, when they all hit the field on Sunday night, they are going to be doing whatever it takes to win the game. The intensity will be there when the game starts. For me, what I've sensed is that there hasn't the intensity, the emotions of things are not the same in the week leading up to it.
I just want to I really want to get you these 2 other questions yet, but I want to just add on to this. We didn't shoot a Thursday unscripted because there were some contract disputes on my end. I got some bad advice from my agent. I held in, but I didn't mean it, okay? And there might be repercussions to follow with this, but we'll be back on Tuesday. So thank you for your patience on that. But if money would have been right, and we did shoot the show on Thursday, the point I was going to make when talking about the Aaron Rodgers we're seeing right now with the Steelers, I'm glad we're seeing it. Because the last 2 years I don't think was fair to Aaron. I don't think it was fair to his legacy, what happened. I mean, time moves on. It was Jordan Love's time here in Green Bay, and I think Aaron appreciates that too. But it's just unfortunate what happened with him. Yes, the Achilles, but then also last year, just seeing how that season went on. This is how Aaron Rodgers should be remembered, the way he's playing this season. And hopefully the Green Bay Packers pick up their 5th win. Hopefully everything goes well on Sunday and they ride on here and continue this winning streak. But being able to see Rodgers playing like that, seeing that Hail Mary last week, seeing him completing these passes to Metcalf, and the thing that I never saw coming, Mike, because I said for a long time, I thought Aaron Rodgers, I was very confident that Aaron Rodgers would play well into his 40s because during the calf season in 2014, when he had to be more of a pocket passer, he was cerebral. Absolutely. He played like an MVP. He had to adjust his game, but he was still very good. But he's still playing the way he played 10 years ago. He's still extending plays. Yeah,
the biggest thing that I notice about Aaron Rodgers this year in terms of his time since he left Green Bay is that you can just tell this year he is another full year removed from that Achilles injury. Like, yes, you can come back from an Achilles in 9 months or 10 months or 12 months or whatever it is, but he still didn't look like he had any kind of mobility last year. we're seeing his mobility is back for a 41-year-old quarterback. He's moving around pretty darn well, and he's definitely still a threat to extend plays like that. And I think a lot of that is just he's that much further removed from that very devastating Achilles injury.
We got to go. 2 quick questions, though. Brady Bowler 1. What is the outlook for Micah's performance on Sunday? This is a game, Michael, where I think it's going to be more pressures than sacks. I think it's going to be more being able to push the pocket than quarterback hits. You got to speed up Aaron Rodgers' timing, and it's going to be fast already. Devontae Wyatt would help with that, with the interior rush.
Sure.
But if Micah Parsons goes into this game and has 2 tackles and not a lot of recordable things, he can still have a major impact on this football game.
Yeah, no question about it. If Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball out in 2.6 seconds, if Micah Parsons makes him get it out in 2.3 seconds,
that's a win.
That's to the Packers' advantage.
Raymond, and I'm going to use this as sort of the how do Packers win if sort of prompt to this, keys to victory. Raymond on Facebook, Mike and Wes. He put Mike before me on that one. That's okay, though. Do you think that the Packers win if they use the run to set up the pass or the pass to set up the run? It's kind of a basic question, but I actually really like it. Because the Packers have tried to have the run set up the pass, but then sometimes it's been the pass on 3rd and 9 setting up what they do with the run.
Yeah.
I think everybody agrees they need to start faster on the ground, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a game, this is just my gut feeling, but this feels like a game where maybe the Packers can start to grind some stuff out on the ground early, and then all right, then let's take some of the shots downfield. Now that being said, Matt LaFleur may come out and call 6 passing plays in a row, and who the heck knows. But the Steelers defensively have given up a lot of yards this year. Their defense has not been very stout in terms of total yards. Where they have been very effective is at taking the ball away and at stopping teams in the red zone and making them kick field goals. So the way they've given up yards, I think the Packers, to answer the question, I think the Packers can use the run game to set up the pass here.
I wish we could answer more questions. Unfortunately, our cameraman Ethan's got a big date tonight. Got to get him out into the streets of Green Bay. But I will close on this question. This was from Ride Around Fishball. Love it or hate it, Permane brothers.
Overrated.
Overrated. Okay, we're going to go overrated.
Overrated.
I will say Permane brothers is bussin'. I've been told to say this by Ellie Culver. She's a current intern for the Green Bay Packers and our social media staff. If you would like to hire Ellie in the future, feel free to go to Mike for a recommendation. He'll be happy to do that for you. But I was told I need to say bussin'. I'm going to say that the Permane brothers sandwich is bussin', and hope by saying that.
I don't even know what that means.
I'll figure it out later.
Okay.
I'll figure it out later.
Fill me in.
But yeah, fries on sandwiches not typically my thing. But hey, win in Pittsburgh. He's Mike Spofford. I'm Wes Hockwitz. We thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Packers Preview, brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. A ton of content, as always, on Packers.com. Today, speaking about Aaron Rodgers, I wrote about Keyshawn Nixon and the friendship that they formed during that final season that Rodgers was in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Still having and leaving a big impression and impact on Keyshawn, helping him kind of acclimate to the Packers locker room at a time in which he was like the dime cornerback and a coverage player on special teams.
Right.
Now, he is the starting cornerback that the Pittsburgh Steelers are scheming for this upcoming week. Also, Christian Watson, story on him and his hopes to play this week. You talked to Jordan Love, and now seeing Aaron Rodgers again, and obviously their relationship and what it was like for him working behind what will undoubtedly be a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Packers, Steelers, it doesn't get any better than this, folks. And until next time, for Mike, I'm Wes. We'll see you later.